Business news now. Stephen is here on set with me. You were confessing to me upstairs. It sounds dry, this, but it's massive, isn't it? It's a trans-Pacific trade deal signed in New Zealand. It's difficult to say. It sounds difficult to get excited about, but we should be excited about it.
We should, because it involves 12 countries that, when you add them together, make up 40% of the global economy, including the United States, Japan and Mexico. Now, this deal was agreed last October. It's to cut trade tariffs and set common standards in areas from workers' rights to intellectual property. But the signature of the deal means it's still a long way from coming into force, as Shirley Sitbin now explains.
They shared the traditional Maori greeting before signing one of the biggest trade deals in history. 12 countries are part of the TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, and they hope the deal will boost business and growth. But first, each country has to ratify it.
TPP is still just a piece of paper, or rather over 16,000 pieces of paper, until it actually comes into force. We need to complete our respective domestic processes so we can ratify TPP.
The free trade agreement will eliminate or lower import taxes on some 18,000 products. The idea is that everything that goes from agricultural to industrial goods will be easier to sell. The U.S. representative believes that the TPP is so promising it will eventually pass.
And I'm confident at the end of the day, because of the strong benefits to the U.S. economy, which have been estimated to be over $130 billion a year of GDP growth, as well as more than $350 billion of additional exports, that members of Congress will see the benefits for their constituents.
But some say that money will only benefit big business. In the U.S., many believe multinational companies will use the TPP and its advantages to move their factories abroad, destroying jobs. Some say companies could sue governments if they vote new policies on education or health.
Shirley Sitbin there. Now, another big oil company publishing its results today. This time it's Shell, isn't it?
Unsurprisingly, not much good news from Shell either. The company's confirmed that it's cutting 10,000 jobs because of the slump in oil prices. Profits, calculated using a measure called cost of current supplies, slumped by 80% for the full year in 2015 to $3.8 billion. That's the biggest fall in profits that Shell has seen in 13 years. Shell's the latest of the major oil companies to report big falls in their earnings because of the low price of oil. We can expect more of that as well.
How are their shares taking that news then, Stephen?
Shares actually up in Shell today at the start trading in Amsterdam by about 3% at the open. Generally speaking, across Europe, it's a positive start to the day. You can see gains of 1% or over across the main European markets. Lots of companies news out today that investors are digesting. The Dutch bank ING, for example, their shares are up by 6%. Statoil, the Norwegian oil company, their shares up by 6% as well. And the mining company BHP Billiton, we've seen huge falls in their shares recently, but they're actually up by 7% in London today. Over in Asia, a generally positive picture as well, except on the Nikkei in Japan, which closed down at the end of the day. That was because of a rise in the value of the yen against the dollar, which makes Japanese exports more expensive. Bad news for those companies. So we saw the Nikkei in Tokyo finish in the red. Some more of today's business headlines for you next. Credit Suisse is to cut 4,000 jobs after reporting pre-tax losses of €5.7 billion for the last 3 months of 2015. Much of that is linked to the purchase of an investment bank back in 2000. Revenues at the Swiss bank fell by more than a third over the period, though. Shares in Credit Suisse have opened down 7% in Zurich. Toshiba is expecting losses of $6 billion this year over an accounting scandal at the Japanese conglomerate. That's up by more than $1 billion since the company's last profit warning. Toshiba is cutting jobs and reorganising its TV and PC divisions after revelations that management was complicit in padding profit figures for almost 7 years. And passengers travelling by train to Paris's airports or to Disneyland are facing disruption today. A union representing workers on the RER A and B train lines called a strike over prison sentences that were given to 8 workers at a Goodyear tyre factory for holding their bosses captive during an industrial dispute. 1 in 2 trains are currently operating on the lines affected.
Just want to make it clear that Stephen wrote this link. We've had another sign of the financial power of Taylor Swift.
You sound doubtful of the financial power of Taylor Swift. And I will tell you,
Slightly.
$75 million is how much her name is worth to a company. She signed up to a deal with a mobile games developer, Glue Mobile. Their shares rose by so much that it added $75 million to the value of the company. Now, Glue is best known for its Kim Kardashian app. That earned it $70 million back in 2014. Now, Glue is banking on Swift's popularity and general social media presence to boost sales of a new game that's going to be based around her. It's set for release this year. The company hasn't given details yet of what exactly it will entail. I know you'll be rushing out to buy it.
I will. I'm just amazed by the amount of money you can make wearing a dress like that. Stephen, thank you very much.
And being very talented, of course,
Exactly.
as well.
Of course. Goes without saying. Stephen Carroll on business.